Coverage today is brought to you by the members of the DL 500 Club. For just $10 a month, you get exclusive content and send me to all the races. So I'm not sure that's exactly what the team owners meant when they said they wanted to be more like Formula One. Yeah, it was a bit of a snoozer today, unfortunately. I'm probably being unfair. There were a lot of at least intriguing things in this race. There was some action. We had some cautions. We had some drama. I think there was some compelling storylines to follow throughout this race. And certainly the biggest one is the fact that Joseph Newgarden is rested, recovered, not following anyone on social media, and absolutely smacked the field today. I mean, that's a classic Joseph Newgarden performance. As it turns out, he has not forgotten road courses or street courses. He's just as good on those as he is on the ovals. So, from that perspective, I feel like the rest of the drivers had a much more difficult time kind of talking about their race. I mean, what were they supposed to say other than fuel mileage? And I gave the drivers that challenge when I spoke to them after the race. You can tell me anything you want to tell me about the race, but you cannot use the phrase fuel mileage. Here's what they said.
Yeah, no, you couldn't.
Slow?
No, I mean, listen.
Dude, it's such a long race.
Impossible. Yeah, there was some of...
That's why I wish they put it back to 110 laps where it's a clear three-stopper and it makes for a much better race, much better strategy calls and so on. Yeah, these two are all just sitting in a line, so it feels really not that good for the fans.
So normally you can prepare to try and defend or try and attack, and it wasn't the case this weekend. But anyway,
we were doing fuel saving and stuff. Everyone was, but at the end of the day, even lifting, sometimes you needed to control the tire temps and stuff. So in a way, you're kind of the fuel saving is almost helping a little bit the tire degradation. It was hard to make it on 2 stops. A lot of people were struggling, and we were able to do that.
Yeah, people. Dancing with the wall. You're flirting with the wall on 100 laps.
But it was a good race. I mean, it allowed you to be different than others and try to save more. But I feel like everything else, fuel saving went well.
I think that was fun. It's always nice to break the drivers out of their usual questioning about their mental state or the tires or whatever. Just throw something different at them. I always like doing that. So obviously, Joseph Newgarden, winner of the race. We've talked about that, and we will continue to talk about that throughout the rest of this video. But let's take a look at the other 26 drivers in today's field and see how they did, and I'll try to comment on each of them. So here are the race results. And as I mentioned, up top, it's Joseph Newgarden for Team Penske. Penske has won every first race of every series they're in, save for the NASCAR Cup Series. A bit of an interesting stat there. Newgarden taking the PPG colors to victory lane here at St. Pete, the first time he's won here in a couple of years. Pato Award, once again, the bridesmaid here at St. Petersburg, and the McLaren winless streak continues well into 2024. Scotty McLaughlin, a former winner here, started mid-pack, worked his way all the way up to P3 for Car 3. Will Power, who you heard from earlier in today's video, I think he's probably right about the fuel mileage. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But another driver who came up from mid-pack, Will Power did a great job. Colton Herta, he looked like he had a chance there early on in the pit sequence serial, but he fell back late in the going. However, Herta, the top Honda in the field. Alex Palou, we talked to him. You'll hear more from him later on in this video. P6 and the top Ganassi driver in the field, and the second fastest Honda for the former champion. Felix Rosenqvist in P7 started on the front row. You'll hear more from him later on today. I was surprised a little bit, but he definitely had a struggle in the morning warm-up, had some troubles with braking. Many drivers had trouble with braking today. He didn't have that so much in the race, but didn't quite make the right strategy call for Felix. And then Alexander Rossi, a quiet P8 for the second orange McLaren there. And then you've got Scott Dixon in P9. managed to have an amazing save for Scott Dixon there, going down into off of the back straightaway, the same place his teammate Marcus Armstrong crashed. Dixon saved it. Rinus VK, who we talked to and you'll hear more from later, finished and rounded out the top 10. He was really strong, I thought, this weekend. Rinus did a good job and was able to deliver in P10. Santino Ferrucci, this is something I haven't talked about a whole lot, but the AJ Foyt cars have been super good here since Sebastian Bourdais ran that race, I believe, around 2020 for them. The setup, good. Santino knows how to drive a Bourdais setup, and here they are, almost knocking on the door of the top 10. That team also, of course, has a partnership with Penske Racing. Maybe that helped a little bit, too. Kyle Kirkwood in P12, another former Foyt driver, never quite was able to work his way up through the field from a poor starting position. Callum Ilott in his debut for McLaren is in lucky 13. Kiffin Simpson, let's give a big shout out to the highest finishing rookie in the field. Kiffin kept his nose clean all day long, and I think 14th is a very solid result for him. Pietro Fittipaldi in P15, you'll hear more from him later. I believe he was the highest mover in the whole field, coming up from the back row up until 15th position. Graham Rahal had some issues mechanically, which hindered him to a 16th place finish at a track that he's won at before. Tom Blomqvist was just behind Kiffin Simpson in the rookie battle in P17. Augustine Canapino had a bit of an oopsie doodle in turn one, trying to pass Callum Ilott. He slots into the 18th position. Jack Harvey in his return to IndyCar racing, it gets 19th for Dale Coyne Racing. Christian Lundgaard had a flat tire on lap 1. That put him in P20. Christian Rasmussen started from the pit lane and got 21st starting position. Colin Brown had a difficult day today. Went off the road at one point and also had a pit lane fire in his tumultuous IndyCar debut. Linus Lundqvist got dumped by Romain Grosjean, who finishes right behind him after a pit lane penalty, but Lundqvist was able to get back in the race. Marcus Ericsson fell out with mechanical issues. Stingray Robb had braking issues going into turn 1, and Marcus Armstrong finishes last at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg after getting into the wall after locking the rear brakes up and ending his day in a pretty heavy shunt. So you've heard some of the stories throughout the 27 car field. Let's go back to the drivers and hear from them, their stories, before I give my analysis. You got Barry back on the stand this weekend. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, it's amazing. Obviously, we have a connection since 21. We missed him in Portland and Laguna last year, which we didn't do too bad on track. No, honestly, we missed him a lot on the stand, and it's great to have him back. So it's good to get that number 10 top 6.
I think we improved compared to last year. So on 15 races in last year, a top 10 was my best result of the season. It's race 1 now. Thank you. It's race 1, and and we matched that so far. So I think it's a good start, and there's a lot of fast cars out there, especially out the front. So to be one of in between those guys, I think is you can call that a good day.
Pietro Fittipaldi, I believe you made the most positions out of any driver today. How was it first time back in an IndyCar in a race for a while?
No, it was great. I mean, we took it step by step, just trying to, gain experience the more laps we did. This track is new to me. I never ran in a street circuit with the IndyCar. The last time I raced the IndyCar on a road course was 2018. So, we knew it was going to be difficult. We got only like 2 days of testing to come. There's a lot of new people working on the 30 car. They're new to me, so we didn't have enough time to gel. So we took it step by step, but we knew that we would evolve massively throughout the race the more laps we did. And that's exactly what happened. We executed, we did perfect. When we had the pace, we overtook and finished in the 15th place, which honestly, I don't think we could ask for more starting from where we started. So first race as well, I think the team did a great job, and it's a good base to work from.
I'm pretty happy with it, man. I think, as I said, we had a really solid weekend, but just weren't really on the right strategy. We decided to go in reds, which turned out to not really be the one. Had some minor issues, and then one poor pit stop. So I think, considering that things didn't really go our way, we were pretty happy with the P7, to be honest. There's more to learn, and just kind of, nice to have this race done, a couple of long runs done, analyze stuff, and I'm sure we'll come back super strong for the next one.
Now, I'm going to get a lot of comments. I need you to describe the cool suit real quick.
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
No, it's like 9 degrees Celsius. This keeps me cool. Physically, I am cool. Mentally, but yeah, that's the deal.
Okay, so I touched on it at the beginning. Was a little bit spicy about it. Sorry, but was this a great race? Nah. It was not. It was, when we spoke to Herta yesterday, walking in the pit lane, and I was able to confirm it on the grid walk, talking to a few different engineers and drivers. When you start hearing, the tire compounds are pretty similar, and the question, of course, becomes when that happens, is it going to be a fuel mileage race? And of course, when it's a two-stop here with 100 laps, definitely going to be a two-stop race. So without a significant amount of yellow, this was not going to be an exciting race. And, everybody, I think Will Power said it best, right? They all kind of ran around in a line and saved fuel. And I think part of the problem, and I hate to harp on things, because this video is going to feel like I'm harping on a lot of things I've harped on before. But I said this in the Joseph Newgarden, swinging below the pit line video, right? These teams have had so long with this chassis and engine package, and in particular, this configuration of the chassis and engine package with the universal aero kit, with the aero screen on it, and the engines, more or less being the same. I mean, small gains are made each year by the development of Chevy and Honda, but for the most part, we're running with the same package that arrived here in 2020. And when you have that longevity with exactly the same rules, and teams that are of such high quality as the ones that race here in the IndyCar series, the teams are going to figure out the strategy, they're going to figure out how to manage the tires, and they're going to figure out the most efficient way to manage the fuel for the particular length of the race that we got today, which is 100 laps. And any driver would tell you, probably any strategist, almost certainly any strategist would tell you, that 100 laps with the current package is going to result in that style of a race. It's just the facts. And, without significant technical change, now obviously the hybrids are supposed to debut at Mid-Ohio mid-season, and by the time we get back here next year, presumably the hybrids will be attached to the racing machines. And maybe that will throw a bit of a wrench into the racing. But as it stands right now and going forward into the season, outside of a couple of tracks, Milwaukee and the Nashville Superspeedway, which thankfully are two races that are at the end of the season, I hate to say it this way, but there's a lot of predictability, I would say, going into IndyCar racing. Now, the good news is we're going to a track that IndyCar has only tested at, never had a race, and it's a non-championship all-star event, kind of in the similar vein as the Marlboro Challenge, the Thermal Club. Do we know really what to expect there? Absolutely not. Does that mean it's probably going to be an entertaining show? I would probably say so. So, at least we can look forward to that. But the rest of the season, outside of changing the laps or changing the race distance or whatever you have to do to make the races a little bit more spicy, I would expect more of the same that we've seen here at St. Pete. And again, it's just because the technical regulations have stayed so consistent. Probably part of the reason why there's 27 teams on this grid, by the way. But you have to balance that. You have to balance unpredictability with stability. And I think they're a little too far on the stability side, on the competition side of things. And to say that, you're going to end up with races like this because it's just going to be a little too easy to know what's going to happen. When me, an idiot on YouTube, can hear a driver say it's probably going to be a two-stop race and the deg isn't all that much between the two different tire compounds, and I know what's going to happen, and I'm an idiot, that's probably a problem. That's all I'm saying. But I think Joseph Newgarden is an incredible story of this season. He was good last year, and supposedly he hated his job. So him coming back and loving life again and loving his job and loving driving race cars, I think that is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous thing for this field. I think Alex Palou, you heard from him say that he wasn't able to race quite the way he wanted to because of the fuel saving. So I think Alex Palou is going to be a serious contender for this championship. I think the Indianapolis 500 is going to be awesome with 35 cars and 2 cars going home. That's going to be a lot of fun. So there's a lot of things to look forward to too. I don't want to bury everything too much. I mean, certainly this weekend there's been a lot of that, and I don't want to necessarily pile on, but we do want to keep it factual. We do want to keep telling the truth, and that's what I guess I'm here for. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Lane on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content from the runway at the Albert Whitted Airport. We'll see you at another airport in Sebring this weekend.